before your clock strikes here, it's always Halloween, and I'm always your haunted host, Luce Tomlin Brenner. Ha 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 ha. On these very special episodes, I like to read a curated selection of calls from the All Hallows Hotline and letters from the EEEEK mailbag. Ooh, I had to make that one extra eeky because it is calendar Halloween weekend. How is everyone feeling? Are you pumped? Are you sad? Are you feeling a mingled bittersweet relief? That happens sometimes because you get a little tired and you just need a break. Even when you love something like Halloween, which is perfect, sometimes it is nice to have a little bit of a break from it. So maybe you're welcoming November. But for now, don't think about November. How could I even say that? What's wrong with me? For now, we have 3 incredible days. We have Devil's Night, Halloween, the Day of the Dead, lots of opportunities to commune with those who have passed beyond the veil and stir up some frightful fun with the living. I personally am very excited. I'm going to have a little friendly gathering, and on Halloween night, Isaac and I are going to go to the LA Haunted Hayride, my favorite tradition. And all in all, I have had a lovely Halloween season, made all the lovelier by your presence in my life, sweet lanterns. Thank you so much for sharing another Halloween season with me. Now you know we are not going to stop just because the calendar says so. The calendar is a quitter. The calendar quits on Halloween. We don't quit on Halloween. We're lanterns. We're lanterns filled with LED lights that never go off and have a strong energy saver bulb. I hope that you have a special weekend lined up no matter what you're doing. And I hope that you can find some contentment even if you didn't get to check off everything on your to-do list. The best thing about calendar Halloween coming to an end, yes, there is a good thing, because on November 1st, that is the absolute most time we'll ever have to plan for the next Halloween. It's incredible when you think about it. Just take a few weeks and think about other things and then swing back around and start putting together your plan for next year. It's never too early because it's always Halloween. I am sorry there was not a new episode last week. I had a very special guest lined up, and then they dropped out, and then they rescheduled for this week, and then they dropped out again. So there is a reason that I am not a guest podcast. It's very hard to be an independent solo DIY producer and handle all of that booking and planning and writing episodes. And then when people don't come through, it's very difficult. So I'm sorry there wasn't an episode last week. I was trying to do something really cool. It didn't work out. The pumpkin seeds we plant don't always blossom, and that can be challenging. But there's always more fun to be had. So we did skip a week, but we have 3 new episodes coming on the Patreon. So if you are a Patreon Ghoul Gang member, we've got 2 new ghost stories that are out right now. One is called The Shadows on the Wall, and it is a Victorian ghost story originally published in 1903 by Mary E. Wilkins Freeman. And the other one, another Victorian female writer, Olivia Howard Dunbar, The Shell of Sense. And that was published in 1908. So we've got 2 brand new ghost stories up. They're both about 30 minutes long. So that's 60 minutes of frightening tales. And very cool episode that I'm putting up that we're cross-promoting. I sat down with Annie Rose Malamut of the podcast Girls Guts and Giallo. Very different podcast from this one. It is aimed at adults. It's about salacious and subversive cinema. I worked with her this summer on an episode about Rosemary's Baby, which you can find on her podcast. But we did a special Patreon episode together that's going out on her Patreon and going up for It's Always Halloween on the Halloween franchise. So it couples really nicely with the whole marathon that we did over the last 2 months. This one, I specifically dive into my very disappointed thoughts about Halloween Kills. I did not like it. I thought it was really mean and cruel and gross and not in the spirit of the rest of the franchise. I actually thought it was worse than the Rob Zombie movies, which are already not my favorites. Very curious to know how other lanterns felt about it, but it was kind of a heartbreaking experience. I was really looking forward to it. And sometimes we hype ourselves up. I do, especially when I'm really excited about a movie that I've been waiting for 3 years. I just got myself up to that high point. So of course, nowhere to go but down. But if you want to hear more on Halloween Kills and how it works into the franchise, check out the new Patreon episode. So 3 new episodes up on the Patreon. We also have a Patreon movie night coming up next weekend. This is really exciting. So if you're starting to feel like that pinch and you're like, oh no, I don't want Halloween to be over, that's okay. It doesn't have to be over. In fact, together, we're going to watch the Halloween Tree, the cartoon based on the famous Ray Bradbury story. We're going to keep that cozy feeling going. This is for everybody who is like, I don't want to watch horror this month. And you like things to be a little cozier. We're going to do a whole cozy November. So on Sunday, November 7th, we're watching the Halloween Tree. That starts at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then on Sunday, November 14th, we're going to watch Addams Family Values, which has a delightful Thanksgiving theme to it. And that's also going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I hope you guys can join us. If you want to sign up for the Patreon for ghost stories and movie nights and newsletter information about cool, spooky stuff all year round, you just have to go to patreon.com/itsalwayshalloween. That link is also in our bio. And that brings us to this. We have to thank all the new Patreon members who signed up recently. You guys, we're so close to 100 patrons. We're at 96 patrons. If you are worried about losing the Halloween spirit after Sunday, now is such a great time to sign up. And if we get to 100 patrons by the thinning of the veil, I will host a giveaway, put a present, a little package together and send it out to one of our amazing patrons. So we just need 4 more people. You can even sign up at the $1 level. This week, we got a lot of new people in. So thank you so much to Amber, Laura, Victoria, David, Casey, and Emily of the podcast Fuckboys of Literature, a podcast I highly recommend. Really good deep dive literature podcast. I did an episode with her 2 Halloweens ago on A Clockwork Orange, which is one of my all-time favorite novels. Check that out wherever you get podcasts. I'll link both her podcast and Girls Guts and Giallo in the show notes. As you can tell from the title, both of those are more adult-oriented podcasts, but they are really good deep dives, very critical analysis of literature, and then critical analysis of subversive film. So That will be in the show notes. Thank you guys so much for signing up for Patreon. This whole podcast is completely funded by patrons. We could not make it without you. Thank you for keeping us ad-free, independent, and sustainable. Now, before we jump into our calls, one last thing. If you are excited about the Halloween Tree movie, you should know that for free, I am reading the Halloween Tree on YouTube. Doing it chapter by chapter. We're up to chapter 5 now as of this recording, but I know I'll have a few more up by Friday when this comes out. So check out our YouTube page. It's always Halloween Podcast. And read the Halloween Tree along with me. Now, like I said, this is accessible to everyone. This is just an extra Halloween treat I wanted to put out there. Because of that, it is just me. It's a video of me reading in my closet and having a little bit of commentary here and there. There is no musical backing. It's not edited. The reason I'm able to do this is because it's something quick that I can do that doesn't cost money and doesn't require any extra work from Pete. So it's just fun and silly, and if you want to have a good time and enjoy my dramatic line readings, then please join me over on YouTube, and I hope I can help get you into that Halloween spirit. Lastly, there will be a special episode coming out this Sunday on Halloween with a couple of tricks and treats in store for you. So make sure to check that out as well. Now, let's hop into our first EEEEKmail. This one is coming to us all the way from Italy. I hope it's not those Romans that I've been roasting for like a year. All right, the subject line of this one is Halloween in Italy. Hi, I just discovered your podcast on Spotify, and I'm currently binging from the beginning since I have recently become more interested in learning about one of my favorite holidays. I'm a mix of Scottish, Irish, and British, which I take to mean I have some Celtic blood in my veins. Yes, very likely. I should state I am from Atlanta, Georgia, where I did have the classic American Halloween growing up. I lived in Italy when I was in grad school from 2019 to spring 2021, and I'm happy to report that the traditions are starting to reach there. I even saw kids trick-or-treating. I lived with American roommates for a semester who were pretty big into the holiday. They loved Halloween and horror movies, so we had a blast buying decorations that year. They ended up staying on our walls until we moved out in December. After that, I moved in with an Italian host family and found that unless someone has a young child, they really don't understand all the hype of this very American holiday. I also tutored a 10-year-old girl in English, and she was super excited about it. She told me all about her plans for her costume and trick-or-treating with friends. After our lessons, we would usually do some art together, and of course, for all of October, she wanted to draw Halloween-related things. She also had little paper decorations all over her desk. Oh, cute. I do have to say that Halloween is really a kid's holiday in Italy. I maybe saw 2 adults in costume, both Halloweens that I spent there, and I remembered they were dressed as witches mostly, very classic costumes. Listening to your podcast, I think about how weird it is that the Romans lived there, yet due to the influence of Christianity, none of the old traditions pervade. Food for thought. Thanks again for your awesome podcast, and I'm excited to continue learning more about this holiday and its old traditions. Lindsay. Oh, thanks so much, Lindsay. And I should say, I was thinking you were still in Italy. It sounds like you are not in Italy anymore, but what an incredible opportunity. I have always wanted to go to Italy, especially to see some of the historic sites that we've learned about on the podcast. Now, according to italiarail.com, there is actually a town called Coronaldo in the Marche region of Italy that is known as the Halloween capital of the country. So they have a special event called Night of the Witches that takes place every year on October 31st with music and dancing. And they even crown a Miss Strega. I don't know. I don't know Italian. But also known as Miss Witch. And this is a fashion and talent show that they hold. So it kind of sounds like a beauty competition, but for witches, which could be fun. I'm very interested in what their parameters would be. But as we've talked about on the podcast before, the most important holiday in Italy, according to what I've read, and I'd be really interested if you saw that while you were there, Lindsay, was the All Souls Day on November 1st, which is, something that the Roman Catholics were really pushing for a very long time and ended up getting melded with Celtic traditions and turning into All Hallows Eve. And you can go back to our Where Did Halloween Come From? Part 1 and 2 episodes, the very, very beginning of the podcast. If you haven't started at the beginning, go back and you'll find a lot of good information there. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for sharing how other cultures are celebrating Halloween. That's one of my favorite things to learn about and hear about. So if anyone else is out there from a non-typical Halloween celebrating country, would love to hear if Halloween has snuck in, captured your hearts and souls at all. All right, up next, we have a call from the All Hallows Hotline, and it is a very enthusiastic greeting that I know you're going to get a kick out of.
Hello, fellow Luceo Lanterns. It's Marco. I'm calling to wish everybody a happy Halloween, fresh off of celebrating my birthday on October 25th. Shout out to my fellow Scorpios out there. I had a wonderful evening performing in a cabaret show. I sang I Put a Spell on You from Hocus Pocus, as one does. And I will continue to celebrate my birthday festivities into Halloweekend by going to a Hocus Pocus drag show on Saturday. I've been working on my costume all month long. I'm going as glam Beetlejuice, so think of all of the spikes and studs and jewels and glitter. Very pleased with how it's coming along, but my heart is just so full by doing all of the spooky festivities this entire month long of visiting haunted houses. Tomorrow I'll be carving pumpkins. I've been indulging in all of the spooky cocktails that my city has to offer. And a cool front is actually coming into Houston, Texas, which is a big deal for us over here in the South. And I am actually getting snuggled up into bed and about to watch a Halloween movie, so life is good. I am just our day is here, y'all. It's coming. This is our season. I, again, just wanted to wish everybody a safe and wonderful Halloween, and I hope to call in again soon. Love you all. Bye, witches.
Happy Halloween to you, sweet Marco. This was an incredible call. I had to take extensive notes while you were talking because I'm so excited about everything that you mentioned. First of all, glam Beetlejuice. I cannot wait to see these pictures. As many of you know, Beetlejuice is probably my all-time favorite seasonal movie other than Halloween. But Beetlejuice is something that I can play at the video store, and Halloween, I have to wait until like the very last hour when no kids come in anymore. So I think I've already watched it like 5 times this season. I think it's the funniest movie ever made. It's already such high camp and high art. I can't wait to see how you improve on what's already a very heightened character. And I'm excited to see how will you be dressing in the black and white classic suit or another one of his fabulous looks. I've always wanted to be like him when he turns into like the carnival characters. It just seems like lots of artistic work. And as you know, I'm not good with my hands. so I don't know what my Halloween costume is going to be yet. I am happy to hear your birthday was a scream. Yes, happy birthday, fellow Scorpio. And to all of my Scorpios out there, I love you. And I'm so proud of you. You and your mysterious whispers and your party animal ways. I see you strutting around town, looking sassy and sexy and having fun and holding grudges, and I love you for it. And I want to shout out another birthday that just happened this week, Rosa of the incredible Etsy page Haunted Walls. She has called in before. She's a lovely lantern. We met at the Awaken the Spirits event, and she makes such cool jewelry and Halloween decor. And you have to check out her Etsy at Haunted Walls. Happy birthday, Rosa. Happy birthday, Marco. I hope you and the other lanterns out there who had a birthday this week have an extra special party weekend celebrating your incredible light and the light of 1,000 jack-o'-lanterns flickering for you this Halloween. Next up, we have an EEEEKmail with the subject line, The Grinch. Hey Luce, just listened to the latest Small Frights Friday, and I have an answer to your question. Who is the Grinch of Halloween? I really love when you guys take these questions seriously, because I'm just spouting off and you're like, let me figure this out for you. And then you come back with actual answers, and it is truly such a gift and a dream come true. This seriously makes me so happy. Okay, back to the EEEEKmail. This character has been around for many decades, but as far as I know, has faded into obscurity. He shall lurk in the shadows no longer. You may want to sit down for this reveal, because what I'm about to tell you will knock you right off your witch's broom. The Grinch of Halloween is none other than, wait for it, the Grinch. Technically, he is enjoying the holidays, so I guess we're looking for someone who's more Grinchy on Halloween. From what I recall, this holiday special was made a few years after the Christmas special. I don't remember that much about it, but I just typed in Grinch Halloween on YouTube, and someone had uploaded it. And it's one of the top search results. That's all I've got for today. Keep up the good work, Thomas. Oh my God. Okay, Thomas, you're incredible. Thank you for taking me seriously. I thought I was just being a goof, but it turns out that there is a Halloween special called Halloween is Grinch Night. And it's about the Grinch and Halloween. So I snagged it from YouTube, as was Thomas's suggestion, and I put it in the show notes for you guys. I have not had a chance to watch it yet. I started watching, it is a full half hour. I got a few minutes in, and it's very atmospheric and it's cute. It's also just kind of weird because I don't know about you, but I've watched The Grinch Who Stole Christmas like every Christmas multiple times since I was a very little kid. So to me, the Grinch only exists in this like one very narrow way. I do not like the Jim Carrey Grinch, and I don't want to talk about it. So to know that there is another animated version of the Grinch taking place on Halloween, it like baffles me. It feels like we've bumped into a parallel universe and we got their Halloween Grinch. What? It's wild. All right, well, I hope everybody is as tickled about this as I am, and I hope you enjoy another Halloween special in the show notes for you. Watch it when you're ready. If you need a chuckle and a little bit of huh? Up next, we've got a fantastic call with some more entertaining advice.
Hi, Luce. I've been a fan since the very beginning, and I love the podcast, love all the other lanterns. I just got to tell you, a little tip for everyone. Maybe you want to put this on during your Halloween party or cozy up during the cold nights, but If you go to YouTube and you search vintage Halloween commercials, you'll find something called 70s and 80s Halloween commercials. You'll know it's the right one because it's about 40 minutes and 28 seconds. This is the perfect background for any party. This is the perfect evening in. I'd wager that every lantern out there is going to absolutely love these vintage 70s and 80s Halloween commercials. Just a little tip for those small Fright Fridays. Goodbye.
Lantern, thank you so much for being a fan since the beginning, and big thank yous for this fantastic recommendation. So happy to hear from somebody who has a soft spot for vintage and retro commercials. I love this suggestion. I found the one you were talking about. I put that in the show notes too for everybody. I think people are going to get a kick out of this, even if this is not your childhood. I know you're going to enjoy it because the special thing about ads from this time period is that it seemed like every single one had a monster in it, or there were Halloween costumes. It was like you could not put a commercial on TV in the 80s and not acknowledge that it was Halloween. Like every October it was Halloween themed commercials. So I think you're going to get a kick out of this. And I agree that this would be a great background for a party, a gathering, even just to like throw it up as you're doing other things around the house this weekend. It's much more entertaining. If you're not somebody who's into commercials, which there's a whole world of us out there who are like, ooh, vintage commercials. It's very fun to watch old ads. They're much better than the type of ads that we get now. Really cute and creative, and also like very absurd and extremely wacky. So I think you're going to appreciate the vibes that are in this collection. Thank you so much for this fantastic recommendation. I think it's really going to add a lot to everyone's weekend. Up next, we've got a couple of EEEEKmails, one short and sweet, and one with some movie recommendations in it. All right, first up, this one's subject line just says, "Hi, Lucy, Lucy. Sorry if I got your name wrong. I wasn't sure how to spell it, but I wanted to say that you the best, and I love your podcast, and I plan to wear this costume to my school's costume contest with lots of spooky, scary feelings, Jordan." Well, Jordan, aren't you so sweet? Jordan's costume is making me laugh so much. I laughed a lot when I got the email, and then every time I've looked at it since, it has made me laugh. It is one of those blow-up costumes where the wearer's legs are in the creature's legs, but then there's like fake legs, so it looks like you're riding on a creature. In this case, the creature is a dinosaur with sunglasses and a jaunty hat. And Jordan will look like they are riding atop of this dinosaur at school. I think this is a perfect costume for school. First of all, it's extremely colorful, very eye-catching. It's got a fantastic sense of humor, and it's big. So you are going to be the toast of the school, Jordan. I cannot see how this won't at least get you in a finalist position. Hopefully you're not up against anyone who is too artsy. If you go up against somebody who's doing a whole papier-mâché eyeball or something, it might be tough. But I really have my fingers crossed for you, Jordan. This is a cool costume. Yes. So Lucy is how you spell my name. That's Lucy. And Lucy has been a nickname for me for most of my life. My school friends, my family call me Lucy, but my name is Luce. It's Luce with an accent mark over it, which I know is kind of confusing because not a lot of white Americans have accent marked names, but it's like Beyonce, how she has an accent mark over her E, or Rose or Renee all have accent marks over the E's. But you're in good company because my family still calls me Lucy. However, I do prefer Luce. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for sharing your Halloween costume. All of us have our fingers crossed for you. Let us know if you win the costume contest. And if you don't, tell us who beat you out. All right, next EEEEKmail. The subject line is Halloween movies! ! Hello! Listening to a recent podcast, I completely related to loving Halloween but hating horror. So I need to share my movie list. Last year, during the season, my husband and I decided to make a Halloween advent calendar of movies to watch. Gosh, that's so cute. We didn't want to be searching nightly for a movie while still mostly being in lockdown because our brains had had enough. Totally. I really struggled in 2020 coming up with 31 non-horror Halloween movies that weren't entirely children's movies, but I think we did a good job out of the gate. There are a few scary ones, but my horror tolerance is pretty low, so Scream is about as scary as it gets. Whew, that one's pretty scary. That one's got intestines getting pulled out. This year's calendar is very similar, but almost every day I am finding more movies to add to our other options column. I like to think that Halloween-adjacent movies count. Like Mean Girls, there's a Halloween scene, and come on, October is a pivotal character. This is a very good point. We've been using that list as a backup in case we can't source a movie or if our moods don't match the movie for the night. The highlighted days are weekends, and the blank days are days we can't make a movie happen. Feel free to share if other lanterns need inspiration. It's an ever-changing list, so I'm certain 2022's calendar will have many more. Lastly, if you grew up near Cedar Point, have you ever been to Kennywood in Pittsburgh? Weekends during the month of October, they have a Fright Fest at night. There are 4 to 5 haunted houses in the park, scary people walking around, great decorations, and most of the big coasters are open to ride. It's so much fun. I definitely recommend making a night of it if you're near home around Halloween and are down for a drive into Pittsburgh. Happy haunting, Ashley.
Luce. This is Andrew. I apologize if this sounds a little echoey. I'm at my local library's study room, and I'm calling from there. I am calling because I need the help of my fellow lanterns. I was watching The Raven with Vincent Price and Peter Lorre when one of the commentators said that Peter Lorre did live readings of The Raven and other Edgar Allan Poe stories. And I would love to listen to them or download them, and I cannot find them anywhere. I've checked YouTube, I've checked Spotify. There's a couple Peter Lorre segments here and there, but it's more when he was on radio programs when he was younger. And so I definitely help with that. I really want those really, really bad. So I need help with that. I'm also calling because I need tattoo advice. I was lucky enough to be in Mexico during the Day of the Dead celebrations. And I really want to commemorate my time with a tattoo on my arm. I want to be respectful to the culture and not culturally appropriate something that is not mine. And I do not know the best way to go around that. And I'm looking for any advice on what to do, where I should go, or what questions I should ask my local artists. All right, that's it. I know I'm leaving you with tough questions, but I hope you all can help me out with these. So thank you so much. I hope you have a spectacular day, and I am going to go study my biology homework now. Take care. Bye.
Andrew, thank you so much for reaching out. So I did do a light dive, only because it's getting late on Wednesday evening, and I ran out of time to really do some deep digging. However, I know we have lots of super tech savvy torrenters out there in Halloween land, and I'm going to throw this up in our Discord on Patreon too, because I know we've got some special lanterns in there who are really good at digging up weird things. And I just need a little more time, because let's not forget, I did find the singer of the Halloween mystery song. So I really feel confident that we could find these Peter Lorre performances. I absolutely love The Raven. That is an underwatched, underappreciated Halloween movie. So if you guys are looking for a classic that's kind of oddball, spooky, but funny, kind of silly, The Raven with Vincent Price is really spectacular. So we will be on the hunt for that. And then I am not the person to answer this question about tattoo appropriation. So if there are any listeners out there who are, from a Mexican background, who culturally celebrate Day of the Dead, please think over this question. Write us back if you feel comfortable, or give us a call. And I would love to hear some input. I'll do a little light research, but as a white lady, I think everything that I say should only be taken with a grain of salt when it comes to right and wrong around appropriation. I really commend your sensitivity and the fact that you want to celebrate this really cool, important holiday, but also be mindful of the ways in which it's an important spiritual time for people of a different culture. So good for you. It's nice to always take a beat and think things over. And it doesn't hurt us at all to take that time and think through it and really give it the gravity that it deserves. So hopefully we can get an answer for you soon. And I'm so sorry if that was anticlimactic. But Lanterns, we have another episode of It's Always Halloween coming up in 2 days on calendar Halloween. So if nothing else awesome happens to you this weekend, you will get to spend another hilarious, informative, and cozy 30 to 60 minutes with all the best Luceo lanterns from around the world. If you want to share what you're up to this weekend, your costume, the party, some good food that you had, some movies that you watched, a haunted house that you went to, a jack-o'-lantern that you carved, please share your calendar Halloween memories with us by calling us on the All Hallows Hotline at 802-532-DEAD. Or write us an EEEKmail at itsalwayshalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. As I said at the top of the episode, if you love It's Always Halloween, please subscribe at patreon.com/itsalwayshalloween, or you can make a one-time donation in our tip jar. You could sponsor our next episode with a tip of $30 or more. Both of those links are in our show notes. And don't forget, 2 new ghost stories are coming this weekend. 1 crossover episode with Annie Rose Malamet from Girls, Guts, and Giallo, and 2 movie nights coming up in the next 2 weeks, November 7th and November 14th. It's a great time to join the Patreon, especially if you feel yourself about to get really bummed out with that Halloween hangover coming up on Monday. This episode of It's Always Halloween was performed by me with help from so many incredible lanterns. Thank you everybody who called and who wrote into the show. The editing, theme music, and sound design is by the fabulous Pete Burns. Thank you, Pete. Could not do this without you. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at LTB Comedy and Pete at Mittenberries. You can follow the podcast at It's Always Halloween Podcast on Instagram. If you're on Apple, please subscribe and write us a little review so that other like-minded ghouls can find us. I want to take this moment to say, hey, if you have any concerns about the show or any questions about the show, you can also write me an EEEKmail or just an email, regular email. Doesn't all have to be read on the podcast. I am a one-woman show. There is not a network behind me. The only money that's behind me is coming in from fellow lanterns, and we're all doing our best. So rather than write something mean in a review, ask me a question if you have it, and I am happy to talk to you about it. But if you have something nice to say, hey, share it with the world, because that's how we get more listeners. More listeners means more supporters, means more time for me to create more episodes for you, and it works out for all of us. Yay, community mindedness. We did get a really great review this last Monday with the subject line, "So Fun," by listener 215. This podcast is a little gem. Luce is inclusive and always learning and sharing new Halloween and spooky adjacent facts with us. Her enthusiasm and willingness to be vulnerable and share her personality and experiences with us is so wonderful. Thank you so much, listener 215. You know, vulnerability is really difficult, and it's something that I am constantly having to tell myself that it's okay to do, and I'm not going to drive everyone away from me. So if you guys can relate to that, if you guys have that fear, please know that it's something that I am just throwing out there, and hearing that you guys are digging it helps me reroute my mind and know that it's okay to be vulnerable. And I want you to know that I think it's okay for you to be vulnerable too. Oh my God, are we doing therapy now? I thought this was the credits. Goodness gracious. Also, you guys, don't forget, we are on NPR One. So subscribe to us there, and please tell Ira Glass that you love us. Thank you so much for listening to It's Always Halloween. And come back next time, unless you get sucked into those Halloween commercials and can't stop watching television, just like Silver Shamrock wants you to.